Hello, welcome back to Ask Allison. We have a doozy for you today. Here's the question. How do you handle it if your clients are not practicing social distancing? Or in my case, the parents of my adolescent client who thinks this is all a political hoax. Do you approach this? Do we have an ethical obligation to make sure our clients understand the importance of this from a public health perspective? So first, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes for sponsoring us. This question came in last week and it has been haunting me since. I've talked it over with several people, several therapists, psychiatrists, and we all found our knee-jerk reaction is, oh, there's a public health obligation. But upon talking about it further, we realize it's a lot more nuanced than that. So I'm going to give you my 2 cents, but I want to crowdsource this answer. So if you have an opinion that is rooted in ethics, not just like this is how I feel about it, but rooted in the ethics of your board, then please chime in in the comments. So like I said, my immediate knee-jerk reaction is to push for educating them. It puts the best interest of my clients up front. It prevents them from getting sick or spreading sickness to those they love. It keeps them alive, which feels really basic. It prevents the spread of this in my community, which feels extremely important. And where they go and what they do is completely up to them at the same time, right? I compare it to some other choices that some of my clients make that they don't want to work on. So when I was in school, I was taught to meet the client where they're at and not push my own agenda. Maybe I think a client's boyfriend treats her terribly and she would be much happier single. Even as a fairly directive therapist, I'm not going to come out and say that. I might lead her there gently over time as we explore her experience being with him. Now, is a client's boyfriend likely to kill tons of people in my community? Very doubtful. Is it apples and oranges? Probably. But our client's free choice is really important in their process, even when you watch them making these decisions you know are really bad for them. So I remember it coming up in an ethics class a million years ago when I was in grad school, and it may be different now that we have a more culturally aware culture. So you guys let me know if this has changed. But I remember this distinctly. Like, what if your client is a member of the KKK? They're here to reduce their alcohol use. Do you try and persuade them to leave a hate group? The right, with quotation marks, the right answer was no, you don't. You help them with what they're presenting to therapy with. Does the KKK terrorize and kill people? Yep. But per that professor and the ethics they use to back them up, we only do anything if there's an imminent threat. And all of that makes me so grateful for my caseload, where this is not a thing. So back to our current situation. This actually came up with the supervisee. Her client kept saying, like, I don't get why people are freaking out. Like, I just don't understand it. And we talked about using leveraging the phrasing, I don't get it or I don't understand, to educate this client. When what the client likely meant was, I think this is really stupid. What she was saying was, I don't understand. So it's an in. Now, the parents who think this is a hoax are not going to be persuaded by you. They may be persuaded by whatever news source they've relied on that told them it was a hoax to begin with. And most of those news outlets, at least the mainstream ones, have changed their tune. Maybe things are different this week. We'll see. I know most of us as teenagers have the same leanings as our parents. So your client may be doing that. So they might not be persuaded until there's a significant illness or death within their friend or family group. The work with this adolescent may come from processing their loneliness. If some of their friends' parents might be taking this seriously now. I'm assuming because the news outlets seem to all be, I haven't watched a lot, I'll be honest with you, of the ones that I disagree with, but they seem to all be in agreement from what I've read in the news channels. That this is a bad thing and we should all keep our distance. Maybe some of their friends are no longer able to hang out with them, and so you process their loneliness. Maybe you process their frustration at how unfair all of this is, which, like, I can co-sign. I totally feel like this is completely unfair for all of us. Maybe even processing what they think about the fact that you're seeing them online now instead of in person, and thus taking this more seriously than they seem to think it merits. How does that impact the way they see you and the work that you're doing? depending on their maturity level, depending on their circumstance, that may or may not be a good idea. So I'm not an ethics expert, and I am not super confident in this answer. I'm mostly thinking aloud about the things I've been thinking around this for the last week or so. I guess it hasn't been a whole week, but several days. So without being nasty to each other, and if it gets nasty, I'm just going to turn the comments off because I really don't have the time or the energy to monitor adult professionals fighting. I would love your take on it. Not it should be this way, but your understanding of it as a professional with a board. Like, how would you present this if the board came to you? Not nonsense, right? Behave yourselves is what I'm saying. So, I don't know if this was helpful or not. This is just offering you some of the ways that I am thinking about it because it feels really nuanced and so little is black and white. All right. I hope you all have a great day. Take care.